Human Extinction, Doom and Gloom 2. A Human Extinction Essay. According to the National Academy of Sciences, the sixth mass extinction has already begun. It started in the middle of the 20th century, during a period called the Great Acceleration. From pollution to the rapid increase in carbon dioxide emissions, humans have severely impacted the Earth. Can we work against the tide of destruction? Human extinction or omnicide is the end of the human species, either by population decline due to natural causes, such as an asteroid impact or the death of the sun, or via self-destruction. Some of the many possible contributors are climate change, nuclear annihilation, biological warfare, weapons of mass destruction, ecological collapse, emerging technologies, such as artificial intelligence, biotechnology, or nanobots. Ancient philosophers such as Plato, Aristotle, and Lucretius wrote of the end of humankind as part of a cycle of destruction and renewal, life and death. The idea of extinction comes from the field of natural science, where scientists have found fossils of animals that no longer exist. Many people don't believe in the idea of evolution. They believe something created us, be it God, a creator, or the Anunnaki talked about in the Epic of Gilgamesh on the stone tablets found in the desert left by the first human civilization, the Sumerians. Zecharia Sitchin is the main writer of this theory of human creation. His website is sitchin.com. In the 19th century, human extinction became a topic in science, as with Thomas Robert Malthus's An Essay on the Principle of Population and Jean-Baptiste Cousin de Granville's story The Last Man. I've seen both sides of the human evolution argument. Some people say there were missing link partial human beings that went extinct, but the creationist side says this was all fraud. Every scientist that claimed to have found a missing link human fossil was a con artist according to them. It makes sense. They put some bones together of animals and humans, then wanted to get famous, but critical people know it's an inexact fake pseudoscience. I'm not here to talk about evolution though. The missing link Neanderthal man was a romantic idea during the 1800s, but there is no evidence he ever existed. In 1863, William King proposed that Neanderthals were an extinct species of the genus Homo. There are many religious ideas of human creation. They also have the other side, where God comes back, punishes the evil humans while taking the good ones up into heaven, a spiritual realm. Most of these religions have some kind of judgment day where the human race is judged and goes to a spiritual realm. There will be a lot of destruction on planet Earth. For example, the Christian book of Revelation talks about a tribulation lasting 7 years when the world is ruled by an antichrist. Most religions prophesize a day when the world will end. If you want to examine the sun as God, research the term astrotheology. Beyond that, there is an expiry date when the sun dies. The sun gives us life. Lord Byron wrote about the extinction of life on Earth in his 1816 poem Darkness, and in 1824 wrote a story about humanity being threatened by a comet, employing a missile system to defend against it. Mary Shelley's 1826 novel The Last Man is set in a world where humanity has been nearly destroyed by a mysterious plague. Nowadays, we hear about rich guys telling us to colonize Mars to avoid the seemingly inevitable human extinction on planet Earth. Americans invented the atomic bomb, then did a bunch of tests on isolated Pacific islands. In a 1945 essay, Bertrand Russell wrote, "The prospect for the human race is somber beyond all precedent. Mankind are faced with a clear-cut alternative: either we shall all perish, or we shall have to acquire some slight degree of common sense. There are other bombs like a cobalt bomb and a hydrogen bomb that are worse than the atomic bomb. There are several UFO cases where flying saucers appeared at bases that housed nuclear weapons and shut them down. These are documented cases that really happened. Type the following term into the internet: UFO nuclear base." Rachel Carson's 1962 book Silent Spring raised awareness of environmental catastrophe. In 1983, Brandon Carter proposed the doomsday argument to predict the total number of humans that will ever exist. John Leslie's 1996 book The End of the World was about the science and ethics of human extinction. In 2003, British astronomer Royal Sir Martin Rees published Our Final Hour, where he says that technology will be our doom. I think it's just plain greed. Those who have the power to make money by exploiting Earth do so. I've seen some horrible things on video, like killing large numbers of fish and dolphins just for food. On the National Geographic TV show Trafficked with Mariana Van Zeller, she was in Africa filming the idea of overfishing. They caught a bunch of stingrays in their nets along with the fish and just let them die. They didn't throw them back. They showed a stingray on deck, breathing its last breath. Global Catastrophic Risks, edited by Nick Bostrom and Milan M. Sirkovic, was published in 2008, a collection of essays on various global catastrophic and existential risks. Nicholas P. Money's 2019 book The Selfish Ape talks about overexploitation. Toby Ord's 2020 book The Precipice, Existential Risk and the Future of Humanity says it's a moral issue to protect ourselves. Lyle Lewis' 2024 book Racing to Extinction explores overexploitation, habitat loss, and denial of environmental limits. He shows how interconnected and fragile ecosystems are, but there is a disconnect with the good old boy network who say the world has been spinning around forever. We're not going to destroy anything by burning oil and coal. Guy McPherson seems so over the top, kind of like the boy who cried wolf. He already made predictions that did not happen. Now he's predicting doomsday as 2030. In contrast to him, imagine the Republicans in the White House when Ronald Reagan tore down the solar panels that Jimmy Carter put up on the roof. That was disrespect to the ecology crowd, telling the capitalists to keep going. That's the whole deal, capitalists versus nature lovers. This is no different from the 1936 movie Things to Come, Economic Development Rules. I watched a video where the guy said that by Trump shutting down new solar and wind energy projects, he's letting China win the alternative energy industry. The pro-oil side think it's gonna be gas, steaks, and football games forever. We either need philosopher king leaders or true democracy where the people vote online on the big issues that matter, like what should the government spend its money on. The way it is now, neither the Republicans or Democrats will ever cut the military budget. If the people voted, they would cut it drastically to use that money on healthcare and education. Potential causes of human extinction include global thermonuclear war, biological weapon, ecological collapse, artificial intelligence, runaway nanotechnology such as a Grey Goo scenario, overpopulation, consumption causing resource depletion, genetic infertility, pandemic, volcano, asteroid impact, nearby star burst, solar flare, the sun burning out. Humans might genetically re-engineer themselves to create a few super beings while letting the human race die off. The first thing they taught me in Catholic school was that human beings are evil. We're all wretched to a certain point. We can only be saved by the grace of God. Most of our leaders are psychopathic narcissists. They can't handle the power of technology in a responsible, be it weapons or just exploiting industry to make money. The end result is the same, destruction. Some people don't care about self-destruction. Jeff Rense on his radio show keeps saying certain people will unleash the Samson option if they're cornered, meaning they would rather detonate all their nuclear bombs than surrender. According to a 2020 study published in Scientific Reports, if deforestation and consumption continue at current rates, they could cause an irreversible collapse of our civilization in the next 20 to 40 years. The study says, humanity should pass from a civilization dominated by the economy to a cultural society that privileges the interest of the ecosystem above the individual interest. This is what the Georgia Guidestans say: get away from capitalism, but we can't. Everything is about sales. People watch all that stupid stuff on TV and the internet, which is all paid for by advertising, which is about getting people to buy stuff. The Bulletin of the Atomic Scientists at thebulletin.org/doomsday-clock says the doomsday clock is now at 89 seconds to midnight, the closest it has ever been to catastrophe. We have scientists playing with stuff we don't know much about. Somebody can do something stupid that unleashes some germ on planet, destroys all the oxygen or something else that could destroy the delicate balance of life. The United Nations Office for Disaster Risk Reduction estimated in 2023, there is a 2 to 14% chance of an extinction-level event by 2100 and a 14 to 98% chance of an extinction-level event by 2700. A weird but cool movies available on YouTube is the 1936 Things to Come based on The Shape of Things to Come by H.G. Wells. The 1927 movie Metropolis is about evil technocrats enslaving people to run their machines. This is what we have now, except that we pay the workers small amounts of money. As a pragmatic guy who watches the news matrix, I notice that some people in the extinction space talk about economic collapse, kind of like a Mad Max scenario. If the electric power shuts off, people in the cities will start dying off quickly. You can't live 3 days without water. Most people don't know how to stay warm in the winter or get food. George Norrie, at Coast to Coast AM, had a guy on talking about some electromagnetic pulse, either by nature, accident, or weapon, that could take down entire countries. That would be electricity, phone, and internet. An electromagnetic pulse or gamma ray burst is a powerful bright flash of energy and light that could take out our electric infrastructures. They could be caused by humans, as in weapons or the sun, comets, stars, etc. George Norrie's website is coast2coastam.com. Betty Andreessen claimed that extraterrestrials impregnated her, then took the hybrid baby from the womb to make it come to life. When Travis Walton was aboard a flying saucer on November 5, 1975, he saw 4 beings that looked like healthy humans but were not human because they didn't communicate with him. Travis did all the talking. They didn't respond. Linda Moulton Howe, at her YouTube channel Earth Files, says somehow these ETS wore their DNA out, so they are using human DNA to reinvigorate their species. There is a voluntary human extinction movement and the Church of Euthanasia who want the human race to refrain from reproduction and allow the human species to go peacefully extinct, in order to save the other animals and the environment. The proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences say that the heating associated with the current level of atmospheric carbon dioxide is irreversible for the next 1,000 years. A paper in the April 8, 2020 issue of Nature projects that the collapse of ocean ecosystems will begin during the 2020s. Human extinction, doom and gloom one-liners. Are there too many people for the resources and a good quality of life? The extinction researchers say we're using so much stuff and polluting so much that we can't sustain it, particularly if we keep adding people to our population. The ozone layer is a layer of ozone that stops toxic radiation from getting into Earth's atmosphere. Supposedly human pollution is destroying this ozone layer. Dane Wigington runs a website called geoengineeringwatch.org. It's about governments and companies controlling the weather. As a result, they're manipulating us, the human race. People are claiming that they can create forest fires, hurricanes, storms, etc. We, in the West, have loads of food. Most people have no idea about how fast the food can run out if crops and the supply chain fail around the world. People say we don't have the water or fertilizer to grow crops. They say the soil is losing its nutrients. They say nanotechnology is dangerous. Nanobots are tiny beasties that can kill us. We're exploring certain segments of science that can be detrimental to us. It's like letting evil stuff out of Pandora's box. There is phantom stuff in the universe like cosmic strings that could hit Earth and destroy it. An antibiotic crisis would be a situation where humans don't get a benefit from antibiotics because we build up a tolerance to it, so we could be overrun by diseases. Nobody wants to say that some medicines do more harm than good. It's about making money for the medical industry. Radiation caused by the sun, melted nuclear power plants or detonated nuclear bombs would cause severe health problems including cancer and genetic mutations. The radiation could contaminate food and water supplies. Transhumanism is the idea of making the human part robot so that you can survive physical life better. The problem is that only a few rich people would become transhumanists who will try to control the normal human beings. Biological and space weapons are things most of us know nothing about. DARPA is the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency. We have no idea what diabolical weapons they have. Look at machines doing the work versus humans. What happens when there are no jobs for most people? What do unemployed people do to survive? The new idea to avoid humanity's extinction is by colonizing space. Are we living in denial, or is it all BS? Will the world keep spinning regardless of what humans do? Can human beings die off and the world keep spinning? Some people say we don't know anything about the past. Earth could be the site for several races of intelligent beings and extinctions in the past. Denial is the great sin of our generation. The president is building a ballroom while it seems like the world is falling apart. Man is the most dangerous creature on Earth. Are we a good species going somewhere important, or are we exploiters, going until we fall off a cliff? We're slaves to consumerism. Online shopping has given rise to home delivery. I see a lot of package delivery trucks everywhere. We work so we can buy meaningless stuff. We are no longer human, but instead a human resource. They're burning parts of the Amazon rainforest to farm cattle. The Amazon rainforest is supposed to be the lungs of planet Earth because it produces oxygen and helps cool the Earth. It absorbs carbon dioxide. At least parts of our planet are dying. Are we in a lot of danger? Most people don't care. If you talk about climate change danger, you get comments about tree huggers or conspiracy theorists. It's not about saving the Earth. The Earth has been here for billions of years. It's about saving humanity and the ecosystem. We could have been something really beautiful, but we chose capitalistic greed. Will help come from elsewhere to save us from ourselves? In the last 2 centuries, the natural world has changed. Humans have transformed the natural order. According to the National Academy of Sciences, the 6th mass extinction has already begun. It started in 1950, during a period called the Great Acceleration. Human civilization experienced significant growth. The increase in the production of CO2 has destabilized the balance of our global ecosystem. Greenhouse gases have warmed the planet by almost 2 degrees Celsius. We've interrupted food chains. We've disrupted ocean currents. Approximately 200 species of vertebrates have gone extinct in the last 100 years. Access to fresh water is declining. Humans are creating toxic waste. We can revitalize the planet, but we won't, because most people are hooked on materialism, comfort, and entertainment. Insect extinction is underway, as reported in a paper in the April 2019 issue of Biological Conservation. The contrails left by aeroplanes are now so widespread that their warming effect is greater than that of all the carbon dioxide emitted by aeroplanes that has accumulated in the atmosphere since the first flight of the Wright brothers. A paper in the June 27, 2019 issue of Atmospheric Chemistry and Physics says air travel has caused tremendous planetary warming. We have a warming Earth that is hotter than it has ever been. What will this really do to affect life on Earth? In 1985, Al Gore and Carl Sagan testified to Congress that we must act now on climate change. Edward O. Wilson, the father of biodiversity, in his books, The Diversity of Life and The Future of Life, warned us about extinction. On June 19, 2015, conservation biologist Gerardo Ceballos and colleagues published a paper in Science Advances titled, Accelerated Modern Human Induced Species Losses, Entering the 6th Mass Extinction. In September 2018, United Nations Secretary-General Antonio Guterres said we have until 2020 to turn this around. In October 2018, the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change indicated we have until 2030 to hold global average temperature at 1.5 C above the baseline. According to a paper in the June 7, 2019 issue of Science, the amount of methane in the atmosphere, CH4, increased at nearly double the rate observed since 2007. Efforts to improve air quality by developing cleaner fuels could end up harming our planet by reducing the number of aerosols in the atmosphere, which have an aerosol effect to help cool the planet. It's called the aerosol masking effect. This catch-22 of abrupt climate change is called the McPherson paradox, which is that industrial activity helps cool and heat the planet at the same time through the aerosol masking effect. Clean tech which is not clean won't solve warming in time. On January 10, 2019, a paper in the publication Science points to ocean temperatures increasing much faster than expected. Antarctica is losing ice mass at 6 times the rate of 40 years ago, according to an essay in the January 14, 2019 issue of Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. A paper on April 8, 2020 in Nature projects that the collapse of ocean ecosystems will occur during the 2020s. Ocean acidification is occurring, according to a paper in the August 26, 2019 issue of Nature Climate Change.